Welcome to the Knighthood podcast, a 30-minute weekly catch-up on all things Newcastle Knights with your hosts, Michael and James. So strap in and let's go. Hey James, how's it going, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Very well,
I'm pumped.
thanks. Yep, likewise. Big things for the season ahead for Newcastle Knights fans. A bit of an intro. James and I, we've got a bit of a history. We went to school together, and we're both Novocastrians. We decided, let's jump on and make a podcast and talk about the Knights for 30 minutes every week, and try and bring something that's quite informative with not too much fluff, a bit of a laugh here and there. We're going to be live on YouTube 7 p.m. on Tuesdays for Teamless Tuesday, where we do a review of the previous week and a preview of the upcoming week with the teams list. And really looking forward to it, to share the journey with the fans over the season. And hopefully it's a great one. Now, James, you want to give the audience a bit of an intro into your background?
Yeah, born and bred in Newcastle, Novocastrian, obviously. Was there when the Knights came in '88. Prior to that, a Shark supporter, unfortunately. But
oh, geez, don't hold that against you, mate.
Yeah, those days are long gone. But moved up here to North Queensland in about a decade ago, and never stopped supporting the Knights, and we'll love them to death.
Yeah, it's great, man. Even though you're up there in enemy territory, we still love you. We had some fun times at school, played footy together, Beresfield Bears, our junior club. We went on to play in different clubs, me, South Newcastle, James, Stockton. And I think we both managed to win a couple of grand finals in First Division. We never made it to the Knights, but so be it. We're here to run a podcast.
That's it.
But we got footy in our blood, and we got red and blue in the veins. So looking forward to having a great year together. Today we're going to do a season preview of the Knights squad, run through our best teams list. Let's bring up a slide. So the Knighthood podcast, Newcastle Knights 2024 season preview. Okay, so quick overview. Let's go through the trial results. We're going to then do a bit of a squad review. I've been keeping an Excel spreadsheet for the last 8 or 9 years with all the Knights players that come in and out of the squad. And it's definitely helped me understand the team and understand what's involved in picking players in certain positions and having takes on, how the team's going to perform and on plays in certain positions. So we're going to share that squad with you and hopefully give you a bit of information that gives you some insight into our squad and the season ahead. We're going to run through our best 17, James and I, and then run through our season predictions and finally wrap up with some odds from Top Sport. So let's get into it. The trial results. Knights beat the Sharks 44-18 in the first week, and in the second week we went down to the Storm 28-10. What are your takes on the trial results so far? 2 trials.
Yeah, I mean, pretty impressive in the first game, but the Melbourne game was pretty ordinary. So I got more out of watching the initial Sharks game and seeing the young guys sort of show what they're made of. A couple of guys impressed, but the less we can talk about the Melbourne game, the better, because we can just put a line through that. Not very good at all.
Yeah, let's put the red pen through the Melbourne trial. I was disappointed, but I mean, when you look at it in hindsight, the conditions were terrible and they probably just went out there at 80%, not even if that. So red pen through that one. Hopefully that's a fair summation. Hopefully they weren't over there trying, because if they were, we're in a bit of trouble. But look, the Sharks' performance was pretty good, except the first quarter was terrible. So, look, it's been a real mixed bag for me. We've seen some new players introduced into our squad. It was interesting to see them play, and we'll get onto that now, and we'll have a chat about the top 30 squad. As it stands, the Knights have signed 28 players out of a potential 30 in our roster. We've got 2 positions available at fullback. We've signed 2. So Kalen Ponga is there, David Armstrong, Fletcher Sharp. What are your thoughts on those 3 players there, James?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Kalen's the man, but yeah, impressed with both David Armstrong and Fletcher Sharp. Obviously, those guys might come into the picture, during rep season, or hopefully not injuries. But yeah, I think those guys can do well.
My take here is that Kalen Ponga's got some decent backup here in the bag. So Armstrong definitely showed some good signs in the trials, and so did Fletcher Sharp. Both young guys. You wouldn't necessarily throw them into the NRL right now, but maybe around Origin time, if Ponga can have a good run injury-free, and these guys can develop in Reggie's and be part of the top, first grade squad, then they are really solid options there for 2 or 3 games. And if an injury comes up, maybe later in the season, not so much if it's at the start, it might put us under a little bit of pressure. Centre and wing, we've got 6 signed positions out of a potential 8. So let's just quickly run through these names. Bradman Best, Dane Gagai, Greg Marju, Tom Jenkins comes from Penrith, Christian Mapalungi, Anari Tawala, Fletcher Myers, who's a development player. And in regards to development players, I think there's 4 to 6 spots available in the squad for development players. Latia Mothandriki, he's a reserve grader at this stage, not actually signed in the top 30, and the same goes for Kyle McCarthy. Any thoughts here on these players in the centre and wing position, James?
It's pretty solid. There's a bit of concern over the wing position, and obviously
big loss,
Christian Mapalungi.
Tom Young.
Oh, absolutely, huge loss. You can't really replace him at the moment. The only guy who can probably more frame wise is Mothandriki. He's a big boy.
I agree.
But whether or not he's up to first grade yet is a different story. But overall, it's a pretty solid center and wing group we've got there.
Yeah. So another thing that I'll touch on here is that we do have potential options to fill in if there's injuries or suspensions or lack of performance. And one thing that we'll do here throughout the year is not stuff around. We've been supporting the club since 1988. We've been through a pretty tough run. Last year was great, but still, the start of the season was rocky, and the year before that was rocky. And look, we want to win a premiership. Let's face it. I think they've put together a good squad now. The club's good off the field, financially stable. They've got a centre of excellence. They've got probably the best supporters in all of the league. So let's go. We've got a really good squad this year. Anyway, let's get back into the centre and wing. We've got players to fill in. Obviously, when there's pressure on the players above, that's great, and I can see that across this whole squad in every position. We'll go into our teams in more detail, what we've selected and who we'd personally choose. But overall here, I can see that the younger guys are going to push the guys above them. In the halves, we've signed 4 players out of potential 4 spots. We've got Jackson Hastings, Tyson Gamble, Jack Cogger, Will Price, and Zach Herring, who is a reserve grader at this stage. Thoughts on those players, James?
Yeah, really impressed with the halves we got and the depth. I think we will see some shifting going on during the season, but yeah, happy to have at the beginning of the year Jackson Hastings, Tyson Gamble, and then we'll see what the other guys bring to the table. Will Price is an exciting prospect, so yeah, it's going to be very exciting to see.
Yeah, 100%. Good depth in the halves. We haven't had that for a long time. Will Price is going to potentially bring some good X factor, and we'll talk about that when we get to our team selections. Same goes for Jack Cogger, obviously. Awesome grand final appearance and performance there. Brings back a premiership ring, and that's only going to benefit the squad, I think. Let's move into the middle forwards. We've signed 9 out of potential 8 positions, so we're over by 1. We've got Jacob Safidi, Leo Thompson, Adam Elliott, Daniel Safidi, Jack Hetherington, Matt Crocker, Brodie Jones, who can also play on the edge, but at this point, he looks like from the trials, he's going in the middle. Martin Miles, Paul Bryan, and Sebastian Sewer. Thoughts there, James?
Yeah, very solid. Obviously Jacob and Leo, the pick of the crop there, and then in the front row, a lot of workhorses, just a lot of tough heads, basically, which is what you want.
Yep.
And then with the other edge forwards and stuff, they can do all the fancy shit. But just to mention the young guy at the bottom, Sebastian Sewer, I thought he was quite impressive in the trial that I saw, and I look forward to see how he progresses.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He's got a lot of upside, and look, we need some pressure on the Safidis. We haven't seen the best from those two together over the course of a season ever, I don't think. So we need some pressure, and he's definitely a player that could potentially do that. Hopefully he's got a good attitude, and he's got his head screwed on right and can push to get a spot in the top 30. Just having a look over it, I think Jack Hetherington will have a consistent year again. He was pretty stable last year. Adam Elliott, if he can avoid injury, will definitely benefit the squad. And he should continue to get better and add a lot of gel to the culture and the fabric of the side. Martin Miles and Paul Bryan have wraps, but they're still young and developing. But look, overall, I think our middle is pretty strong, but we definitely need the DSAF and JSAF to really aim up this year. In the back row, we've got Tyson Frizzell, Kai Pearce-Paul from England, Dylan Lucas, Jed Cartwright from South Sydney, Thomas Cant on a development contract, and Clay Webb in reserve grade. Thoughts there, James?
Yeah, very strong back row for me. You know what you're going to get with Tyson Frizzell, and Kai Pearce-Paul is a bit of a unknown quantity for me. I haven't seen a whole lot of him, so I look forward to seeing what he can deliver. Dylan Lucas was very impressive last year, and again, Cartwright's more of a just a big body, really. But really impressed. And Thomas Cant also sort of impressed as well.
He was good in the trials, especially I think the second trial. I haven't seen much of Clay Webb.
I haven't seen him at all.
Look, I think Jed Cartwright's a good backup player from what I've seen of him, just a good solid clubman. And I think all teams need that. Dylan Lucas has got a lot of upside. He's got a really good combination with Hastings. Kai Pearce-Paul, look, he's the type of player that gives you X factor and can bring you a premiership. If you in the key positions, if you've got X factor players, Sonny Bill Williams and obviously Tyson Frizzell's solid as rocks. Hooker, we've signed 3 out of 3. Phoenix Crossland, Jaden Brayley, Riley Jones, and Jacob Davis on a development contract now. Give me a take here, James. What do you think of Brayley's chances staying on the field this year?
Well, I mean, he's just very injury prone, isn't he? It's you can't predict it, but if you're going off the past, then I hope he doesn't get injured. But we'll just have to see how it goes. And he's on a lot of money, and they've kept him, so he'd want to show faith in the club. But at the moment, Phoenix is sort of taking his chances, and we'll have to see what happens there. Really.
Yeah. Look. Overall, the club's decided to keep Brayley at the club, and he's part of the squad. He's a club captain, potentially. If he's actually on the field, it'd be interesting to see if he was given the C next to his name, or Ponga would keep it. I'm guessing Ponga would keep it, but they've picked him to stay. They didn't get rid of him with the injuries. He's a great clubman, and that's great. But I mean, ultimately, let's face it: if we're going to win a premiership, this guy needs to stay on the park. Riley Jones is he's shown some good sparks. He doesn't strike me to be the next Cameron Smith, though. And look, Crossland's awesome. I love him. Novocastrian. Well, he's from the Central Coast, but we'll call him a Novocastrian.
We'll take him.
After last year's performances. Yeah, we'll claim him, huh?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on now to our best 17. James, you want to run us through your side?
Yeah, so no-brainer with Kalen. I think he's going to continue very Kalen at fullback, obviously. Yeah, he's going to continue his great form, and I mean, he only played half a season last year, really. And just killed it. So I think he's up for another huge one. Tough one for me was the wing position, particularly this one. So I went with Tuala basically for experience.
Okay.
And the other guy I thought about was Mothendrecki, but I just, he didn't seem as he'd had as much experience. So I stuck with Anari Tuala there.
Yeah, cool.
The centers for me were pretty straightforward. I stuck with Dane Gagai and Bradman Best with Greg Marzhew on the other wing because he's great out of the back, and particularly we're going to miss Dom Young's carries out of the back, and he's going to be taking on a lot of extra stuff. I've brought Jack Cogger in at 6 at the expense of Tyson Gamble. I just think the fact that we bought him, he's got to be there somewhere. And stuck with Jackson Hastings and captain. I really like his calmness and the way he leads the team around, and his kicking game's pretty damn solid. So he stays there. Front rowers, Jacob Saifidi and Leo Thompson, just hard heads and will get us moving up the park, which is exactly what we want for KP and that to play off the back of. I've gone with Phoenix. I think he deserves his position at hooker, and after what he did last year, Brayley is on big money, and he's probably got to be there at some, in some capacity. But I've stuck with Phoenix for my best 17. Sure. Tyson Frizzell, you know what you're going to get from him. Great, tough player. Origin player. He's got to be there. Dylan Lucas, I stuck with him from the end of last year. I think he played 10 games, and he was a real threat on the edge, and he had a good combo with with Jackson Hastings. Adam Elliott, another tough toiler, brings a lot of starch in defense, and he's a bit of a niggler, so we'll have Adam there. On the bench, I've gone for Tyson Gamble because originally he would have been the 6. I've put him on the bench. He can have an impact off the bench. I've brought in Kai Pearce-Paul. Bit of an unknown quantity for me, but I think just the way he looks, he's got something about him. You mentioned X Factor earlier, but he's just got a very athletic build. I think he can bring something to the bench. Matt Croker, very, very solid player. We'll get a lot out of him, and I've got the big body of Daniel Saifidi to round out the 17.
Look, it's a pretty solid looking side, and let's get on to my team. Ponga's obvious selection, and I've put the C next to his name. I think he's up for a big season. Very exciting. Looks like he's had a really good preseason. Head switched on. Let's go. Mothendrecki, I've picked him on the wing because he's got the right body frame. He showed to me form in the trials, which was quite positive. Carries from the back. That little tap on off the kick led to a try in the first trial. I just think you've got to pick the players in the positions that can win you a premiership. He can slot in and do a similar job, I think, to Dom Young. Now, I'm not saying he's Dom Young, but he could do a similar job. Gay Guy and Best, obvious choices. Gay Guy could be on the down, getting a bit older. Best on the up. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes over the year. If Gay Guy or Best don't aim up, but let's say Gay Guy potentially, Jenkins or Mapalungi could fit into that position. Marzhew on the wing. Just obvious, solid. Hopefully he keeps improving, doesn't have the odd off game like he did last year. I've got Will Price at 5'8". So does the immortal Andrew Johns. I think he gives us X factor, and he's the type of player that if he, gels into the team and plays to his potential, he can win us a premiership or contribute to us winning a premiership. Jackson Hastings is, if he's not injured this year and he plays to his potential, he can really potentially take us to the top as well. Saifidi and Thompson, same as you. I've got Brayley there because he just needs to stay fit, stay on the park, lead us around the field, and then let Crossland come on and do his thing. And that's going to be the strongest option for the team, in my opinion, as opposed to putting in Cogger in 14 and playing him off the bench and then putting him in at hooker. And, I think the coach needs to make hard decisions on positions and stick with them and run with what's going to potentially lead us to a premiership as opposed to just scrambling on a week-to-week basis. And I hope he has that type of a view. So yeah, Frizzell in the back row with Kai Pearce-Paul with the X factor. He could potentially link with Kalen Ponga, as could Will Price. There's lethal combinations across the park here with the side that's been picked. Adam Elliott should get better with an injury-free year and more time on the field. And then we've got Crossland at 14, as I touched on. I think he can contribute a lot from that position and share the workload with Brayley, even if they played, 40-40 or something like that, or a little bit more to Brayley and a little bit less to Crossland, or vice versa as the season goes. But and whatever the chemistry of the team works out. But let's hope both of them, can gel well and stay on the field and be there for us to help us to get to that premiership. Daniel Safidi, obvious choice there. But what I want to say about the Safidis is both of them need to aim up this year and have a full season where they're in form. Otherwise, the team is not going to perform to their best ability. We really need them to aim up this year. Hetherington's a pretty consistent player, and I think he'll get better this year. And Lucas is a great up-and-coming player and really combines well with Hastings. So, look, that's my best 17. To reiterate, I hope the coach has got in mind the upside of this side, and he's got in his mind that potentially we can, make the top 4, make it to a grand final with this team, with this squad. However he best thinks it's chosen and played. Look, it's an exciting year, but there is a lot of ifs in regards to positions and the side in key positions. So let's get to our season predictions. What are your thoughts on what we're going to achieve this year?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was very excited, over the last few weeks going over the squad and sort of, picking through the players. I can't see why we won't finish in the top 4, taking the confidence out of last year. So I've predicted. Yeah, it is a big call, but I'm happy to make the tough calls.
Good.
All right. Second point, young talent to emerge and push for spots in the 17. I think this is a great thing. We need those young guys pushing up, putting a lot of pressure on the older guys. It just creates healthy competition, and that's every great team has that. And I saw some really good signs in the trials, so I expect that to happen. I expect Kalen to again rise to the occasion, come to and just
King
sort of
Kalen,
mate. The king.
Let's go.
Yeah, so I'm predicting that he'll take out the Dally M again, back to back, with a full season. And I just think he's looking really, really calm and confident, and just I think he's going to have a great year.
Yeah, I agree.
The last point I wanted to make was, or prediction, was that in the halves, as we saw, there's, I think there's going to be quite a bit of movement in the halves. So what Adam O'Brien decides to go with in the beginning might not, we might not see the same halves combo midway through the season and at the end. So I think, there'll be quite a bit of movement there.
Okay, well said. Well, look, at the end of the day, you've put it on the line, and we'll get a chance to see match by match and how it all unfolds. Yeah, now it's my turn. Okay, I'm predicting that the Knights will make the top 8 again, and they'll challenge for a top 4 position. I think there's too many ifs to say, we're going to make the top 4 in key positions with players coming from England, and the squad has still got 2 available spots. We've got, questions marks over Brayley. To another extent, you could say Hastings' ankle. There's a lot of ifs, but if everything clicks, we will make the top 4. That's my prediction. And Ponga, I think, also will get Daly M Player of the Year. Brayley is a massive key for us. He must, like I said, stay fit on the park and steer us around. We need that because the club's decided to keep him here. And if he doesn't, it's going to put a gap in the squad here, which I'm not sure we can fill. So for us to, contend for a premiership or a grand final, he needs to be there, in my opinion. The 2 English guys, Kai Pearce-Paul and Will Price, they've got to acclimatize pretty fast to your young guys and adapt. But if they can, look, upside, X factor, geez, so exciting. Any team needs a settled spine. They also need to, have a good run with injuries and lack of suspensions. A key for me here is I think the coach needs to make a tough call and go for Hastings over Cogger early and give him the chance to run the team. If he doesn't aim up, put Cogger in and swap them, or if injury does that for him. So I think that's a key with the coaching. And I think, as I touched on a bit, the Safidi twins, that I think they both need to be in form consistently throughout the whole year and to lead our pack and let the pack follow them. And if they do that, there's a good chance that we're going to, be right up there when the whips are cracking at the end of the year. And talking about cracking whips, we're going to get into our betting segment here from Top Sport, our preferred betting partner. Now, these are the odds for the NRL finals. The Knights to make the top 8 is 215. Knights to make the top 4 is 480. And the Knights to win the comp is $23. What are your thoughts here, James? If you had $100, or let's say maybe you've got a pineapple of 50 or a greenback 100, what would you put it on?
Well, I did pick him to, make the top 4, but I'm going to be Mr. Conservative and just chuck 100 on the safe bet, the top 8.
The full greenback.
Double the money.
Double the money. Okay.
Double the money.
Take the safe bet. Okay.
I'm being safe. Yeah.
Don't forget to gamble responsibly and don't bet more than you can afford to, and don't chase your losses. There's some tips. Okay. Well, I backed the Knights last year to make the top 8 at $6. I had a pretty good bet on that, landed it, which was really exciting towards the end of the year. Pretty depressing at the start, but I did keep the faith and we got there. And look, to be frank, I think the reason I was able to predict that when a lot of people weren't predicting that was I've kept up to date with the squad over, like I said before, the last 8 or 9 years. I've got a pretty good touch on the team, and you can never be certain, but that's the great thing about this episode. Now you know the players, you know the squad, you know the positions, and that's going to help you make better decisions about your takes on the team. Everyone's entitled to a take, an opinion. This gives you the tools. This episode, knowing the squad well and getting some inside information. Look, my money's this year on the top 4. I'd put the 100, the greenback, on the Knights to make the top 4. You could spread it. You could go 50 on the 480 and then a 50 on the 23 to win the comp. That way, even if you make the top 4 and you don't win the comp, you're still going to come out in front. So maybe hedging your bets is the best strategy, especially with this squad with a lot of ifs in it.
True.
But look, let's wrap it up. I mean, ultimately, if we were able to make the top 8 again, great. If we can make the top 4, we've got a chance to maybe make the grand final. And hopefully the Newcastle Knights of 2024 can figure when the whips are cracking at the end of the year.
I hope so. I hope it's building on last year and we have a cracking season. But I've just got a feeling about this year, and I think good things are going to happen. Yeah,
definitely. We're going in the right direction. Hopefully Lady Luck plays on our side. In regards to the Knighthood podcast, we're going to be running, like I said before, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. live on YouTube for 30 minutes. And then there'll be a recording on iTunes and Spotify for the daily commute. You can catch up in the car on the way home or to work, whatever floats your boat. Thank you for your time today. It's been great, James. Mate, enjoy that North Queensland tropical weather.
Mate,
we're back here in New South Wales in God's country. I'm based in Sydney these days, but I still get up to Newcastle when I can to see family and friends. And let's go Newcastle. Pumped for the season, and looking forward to our round 1 preview next week.
Absolutely, mate. Go the Knights. Fire up.
Newcastle. Let's go. See you, mate.
See you, mate.